because tonight will be the night that I will ball for you.
That was really good.
Over again.
That was
yeah,
well
I mean,
done.
it's all the same. It's all the same voice. But thank you.
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, a guy trash-talking me at my apartment gym, to me not taking the bait and responding negatively. It's Adam Amawala. Adam, how's it going?
Trash talking to you in not a basketball court, just like a gym.
No. Yeah, so here's what happened. I'm so excited.
No.
It's so funny given our last episode. So my apartment has a pretty nice gym. And usually it's not like super duper crowded. And I was there with Kelly and my buddy Ed, and we were just working out. Kelly and I are, still pretty COVID cautious. We wear masks at the gym and try to, stay out of people's spaces in general. So I was doing deadlifts, which is the workout, if anyone's unfamiliar, where you have like the big bar on the ground and you kind of like stand up with it. It's a leg and lower back exercise. And to do that, it utilizes the power rack, which is where you do like squat, bench press, all the big boy, normal, what I always call the boring workouts, which is I only do boring workouts like squats, chest press, deadlifts, stuff like that. So we only have 2 of those in the whole gym. And usually it's fine. Like I've never had to wait too long to use it. And there was another guy doing like super intense lifting where he had like almost all the weights. He was doing some ridiculous thing at the other one. And I was waiting for this power rack to open. It eventually opened. And then I got on there. And just as I was setting up, this guy comes over and he says, "Hey, are you finishing up?" Because I was wiping down the bar. But I was only doing that because the other guy didn't wipe when he finished. So I'm wiping on the bar. Yeah, I know. I was wiping on the bar and he goes, "Are you finishing?" I was like, "Oh, no, sorry. I'm just starting." And he said, "Oh, okay." And then I was racking up. And then he comes over like a couple seconds later. It's like, "Actually, I see you're doing deadlifts. Can I work in with you?" And I was like, no, thanks. Like, I'd rather not. Partially because COVID stuff, like I don't want some dude like breathing on me. And then also partially because like, I don't want to work in. Working in is like, I would have to go, then he would go. I'd have to wait. If he's going to do different weights, then we got to take all the time. I was like, I just want to do this workout. I don't want to. And I say, "No, thank you. I'd rather not." And then he goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd rather just not if that's okay."
Well, now that you've asked that follow-up, I guess I wasn't sure.
Right.
I'm in.
And like, it is a normal thing that some people do working in, but like not in an apartment gym. This is usually when you go to like a Blink Fitness at New York, where it's
that's like a Planet Fitness,
where it's
sort
super
of
crowded.
thing.
Like it's more of a normal thing at a really busy gym like that. But for this, like, give me like 20 minutes and then you're going to get on this. Like, I'm not going to take that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I say no. He's like kind of upset. And then he goes back onto an exercise bike and he's like very furiously. It's one of the ones with like the fan wheels and the arms. And he's like,
he's stationary biking at
he
you.
literally was. He was staring at me. He was going like super intense, doing all this stuff. I finish my deadlifts and then I was going to do calf raises on the leg press. But during the time when I was doing this, someone got in the leg press machine. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to just do calf raises with the same bar I was using. He sees me taking the weights off when I finish deadlifting. And he says, "Oh, you can leave the weights." And I go, "Oh, I'm going to do calf raises and then I'll be done." And then he gets furious because he knows I'm not going to want to work in with him doing this. So he goes, "Hey, just a piece of advice. If you want to see more results, you should put more weight on the rack." And I was like, all I said was, okay, all right. And then he's like, can tell that I'm like trying to be like, dude, seriously. So he goes, "There's only 2 power racks in the whole gym. Like, it's perfectly reasonable to ask to work in." And I was like, yeah, but I just didn't want to. You asked, I said no.
Yeah, he has a right to ask. You also have a right to say, "I would rather."
Exactly. And I was like, once I'm done, you can get on it. I'm sorry. And then I don't know what else he said, but I was like, he said some other sort of thing. And I was like, dude, I think he like reiterated the like put more weight on it thing because I like didn't get mad at his insult. So he kind of like said it again. And I was like, dude, it's an apartment gym. Like, we're in an apartment gym, man. It's okay. Like, all I said was like, all right, man, it's an apartment gym. Come on. I just kept saying, come on. And then he finally left. And then I finished what I was doing, and I walked over, or then he came over when I was racking up, and he apologized, which I thought was nice. Because the whole time I was doing it the first time, I was like, should I have let him work in? Was that kind of a jerk move? And then when he came over and was an absolute dick to me, I was like, nope, not a jerk move. This guy sucks. So he comes over, and then he was like, hey, I'm sorry about what I said before. I didn't mean to be an asshole. And I said, well, you were. And he said, fair enough. And I was like, look, man, I get it. I understand the frustration of waiting for the machine, but like, it is what it is. And
yeah, I could understand him being annoyed at you using it for like a second exercise that he didn't think you would use it for.
But it was only because the other thing I wanted to use was full. Like, it is the nature of an apartment gym. Like, that stuff's gonna happen. But also, like, you can be pissed at me inside your brain. You don't need to trash talk me.
Well, I'm glad you squashed the beef, and now you don't have to have any awkward elevator rides.
Yeah. So I was like, look, man, I understand. We shook hands and everything. And then I did get one more thing in where I was like, look, I also couldn't put any more weights on because that guy who was doing the super duper weight next to me had all the heavy weights. So like I would have had to been like stacking 5s and 2.5s if I wanted to add weight. And then he was like, oh, do you want me to say my asshole again? I'm like, dude, no, it's fine. Like, it's all good. Like, I appreciate your apology. Shook hands. Then yesterday I went to the gym and he was there again, and he came up to me. This is 2 days later. And he goes, I'm really sorry about the other day. I was having a terrible day. I'm so sorry. And I was like, look, man, I appreciate the apology. But there it is. I didn't see. Well, it proves
it has a happy ending.
It's proof that.
And you didn't escalate.
No, and I could have. And I thought of so many. My brain was just running off of every single thing I could have said to this guy. Like, could have made a comment about how, like, his pre-workout really must have had a bunch of steroids in it. Like, I could have said so many wonderful things. I could have said, like, piece of advice for you. Like, you should try doing something to, improve your personality. Like, all these other things. Like, I could have said so many other things. He also did, when he came over and apologized the first time, he said, you do good lifts. So I guess he's seen me in the gym before and like respects me. He was like, I'm sorry. He was like, I'm sorry about the weight thing. You do good lifts. And I was like, yeah, I fucking do. I squat a lot. I'm very strong. Shut the fuck up. Because I'm doing deadlifts and I don't want to break my fucking back. But I said none of these things. And I'm proud of myself. And I think it showed a lot of maturity. And it also showed, true to the last episode, my trash talk is tactical. There is nothing to be gained by me trash talking this person. There is things to be gained in a pickup basketball game.
No. Yeah, and especially not with someone who, like, yes, it's a big building. You're not going to run into him all the time, but like, you don't want that to be some lingering thing where every time you go to the gym to work out, you have this weird energy with some person you don't even 100%. Know. Like, it's just not worth it. But I do have some good news for you. You know, a place you could go where there would never be anyone asking to work in or any tension at all.
It's the Teal Memorial Locker Room.
It is.
Teal Memorial Locker Room. Wow. Yeah, I know that was a lengthy story, but I felt it was just too perfect given the timing not to tell. But you know who doesn't trash talk needlessly?
Definitely not our producer level patrons.
Our producer level patrons: Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Dunko Chasing, Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, How About Them World Champion Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry for 3 losing by 50.
Bang. Oof.
That was generous of you because they lost by 52. Hi, Trish, Nicole Shepard, Chase Underulo, Mr. Bubbles Plays Ball, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby is a Vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs Boy, who is got to be having a more pleasant time given the recent Wembanyama revolution.
I would think so.
And balls to the walls.
Indeed.
Now, you know who else has never trash talked me?
I would say probably not Shaker and Spoon. Why would
I don't know why they would.
We talk nicely
about them. Some folks have recently used the promo code. All of the people I've ever interacted with at Shaker and Spoon are really nice, and they make a cool product. So Shaker and Spoon helps you make fancy cocktails, but in a cool, easy, and affordable way. If you go to shakerandspoon.com/horse, you can get $20 off your first box. And the box comes with all of the ingredients and instructions to make 4 servings of 3 different drinks that all use the same liquor. So all you got to do is provide the bottle of booze. They provide everything else. You can make 12 drinks, and you'll have the infinite knowledge to make those drinks going forward. Sometimes they will have funky syrups or interesting spices like full whole nutmeg that you grind up into a powder onto the top of the drink. Yeah. Sometimes they'll send you like just a singular nutmeg nut. It's cool. So yeah, shakerandspoon.com/horse if you want to try that out and celebrate a big achievement in your life, such as not trash talking some roid head at the gym.
There you go.
Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get ad-free episodes, we'll take a little bit of a break here for some locally inserted ads. Some of them might be read by us. The others that aren't read by us are inserted locally. And then we will get back to this episode of Horse. And we are back. Adam, what is going on in the fantastic world of Mamawala, aside from your cool new Mack Weldon promotion, baby?
Yes, that is true. I can actually probably share some sort of promo code. I'll have to look into it. But I got to partner with Mack Weldon, which is a men's clothing brand. It's kind of like an upscale, casual sort of vibe. Shubes is actually currently wearing a Mack Weldon shirt that I gave him because I got some free stuff, and some of it didn't fit me. And this is just what we do. I give Mike random things. He gives me random things that he gets from his sponsors. And it's a pretty great time.
Yes.
But that will be coming out in March, so I'll talk about that in the next episode. But stand-up wise, I got a bunch of dates coming up and a few things that I have added since the last time we recorded. A lot of things in Texas. If you're in Texas, get excited. Friday, March 29th, I will be headlining 2 shows at Dallas Comedy Club. Those shows are at 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Then I've got a Northeast run from April 10th through the 13th. On April 10th, I will be in Manchester, New Hampshire. The 11th and 12th, that Thursday and Friday, I'll be in Portland, Maine. And the big one there is I'm headlining Empire Comedy Club in Portland on Friday the 12th. Then I've got 2 shows I'm headlining in Boston on April 13th. Then I am working on an Atlanta headlining date that will likely be on Saturday, May 4th. Got some stuff in Miami when I'm down there for a corporate event that I'm hosting the 6th, 7th, and 8th, I believe, of May. And then the Texas run. Looking very promising for a Thursday, May 30th show at the Creek and the Cave in Austin, Texas. Then I'll have a Friday show in Houston. That's May 31st. I might be doing some other shows in Houston on that Saturday. And then Sunday, listen up, Ginger Spurs Boy, hopefully a San Antonio show, TBD. Saturday, June 8th, Fairfield, Connecticut. I'm headlining Fairfield Comedy Club. And then July 19th through 20th, I will be in Denver headlining some shows at the Denver Comedy Lounge. But yeah, got a lot of fun stuff coming up. What about you?
I've got some stuff coming up, but I think by the time people listen to it, it will be complete. Though the live show that I'm doing in Charlotte is live streamed and comes with a 7-day replay. So I think you can it'll still be within that 7-day span. So on March 9th, I will have been in Raleigh, and that will have been a wonderful time. And then March 10th, I will have been in Charlotte, but you can watch the replay of it. It's a half Potterless, half the Noose Olympian show. For the Noose Olympian, I'm beginning my coverage of The Heroes of Olympus, the sequel books. And then for Potterless, we're doing a Wizard on Big Brother, but with all of the pets battling it out to see which Harry Potter pet could reign supreme. So you can get a replay of that. It's going to be like a multicam setup and fun stuff there at schub.es/tour. And then I'm booking stuff for farther out in the future. None of the ticket sales are live right now, but some of the things that are on the horizon are going to be in Seattle and Vancouver, BC in July, because I'll be at LeakyCon in Portland, Oregon in July, which you can get tickets to that. And then other stuff is going to be more like East Coasty based. So like Boston, DC, Toronto, New York, and Philly and Atlanta are all like currently on the docket for shows starting up in the summer. So once I have more info on that, that'll be there. But for those cities, I'm coming through.
Very nice.
But now with all of that complete, let's get into NBQ&A, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. We do have a question today. This question comes from our listener, Sierra. The email says, "Hi, Adam and Mike. I absolutely love your podcast. When I got a concussion recently from soccer." That doesn't sound fun. "I couldn't be on my phone because that would make it worse. So I basically just sat in my room in the dark because I was sensitive to light, listening to Horse the whole time." Well, I'm glad to know that our dulcet tones helped to soothe your brain, because honestly, there are other podcasts that would probably be a bad idea to listen to post-concussion, but I'm glad that we fit into the category of things that are soothing and nice, because we don't yell a lot, unless I'm talking about the Bulls, but I'm not usually. Anyway, my NBQ&A is, has there ever been a quadruple double in basketball? And if so, who had it? Thank you so much. I love the pod. Well, Sierra, good news. First of all, the answer is yes. And I've got some extra details for you that might be kind of interesting, because I did a little bit of research, a little mini deep dive for you, Sierra. So Most people listening probably know what a triple-double is. That is where you get double digits in 3 different stat categories, the most common one being points, rebounds, and assists. Famously, Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double way back when, and then Russell Westbrook more recently accomplished that feat. However, a quadruple-double is a very rare feat. It has only happened 4 times in NBA history, most recently in 1994. I feel like there's got to be one again at some point. Like, there are so many players now that have gotten really close and pretty much get it. Like, Luka has a triple-double almost every game. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that James Harden had an infamous one this season where he had a quadruple-double where one of the statistics was turnovers.
Yeah, that's a little more ignominious. That's called the John Wall. All due respect, but because we do want to get him on the podcast.
Oh, of course. I mean, look, now that he's doing a podcast with CJ Toledano, it has no longer become impossible, which is wild.
It's true. So there have been 4 in NBA history. The most recent one was David Robinson on your birthday in 1994.
Well, look, he knew I was turning 2. He's like, the terrible 2s. I got to make it up to Mike's family. You know, I was bad from years 2 to 3. My bad boy era was one year, 2 to 3. I was a terrible 2-year-old. And other than that, I was a good baby. I slept all the time. And I like to think myself as a good kid as well. But I was a tyrant at age 2. I was awful.
Well, hopefully that was not impacting David Robinson. And it doesn't seem like it was, because on your birthday in 1994, he recorded 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 blocks. No. Before that, Hakeem Olajuwon in 1990 had a game in which he scored 18 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, and 11 blocks. There has only been one NBA quadruple-double that involved steals as the 4th category rather than blocks. That was Alvin Robertson in 1986, also for the Spurs. He had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. And then the first one ever recorded, although there is a bit of controversy about this, and I'll get to that in a second, was Nate Thurmond for the Chicago Bulls in 1974, who scored 22 points, had 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and 12 blocks. I mean, that is a rather full stat sheet.
Yeah.
However, that did come in overtime, and I'm not sure if he had it before regulation. But either
who cares? That's super cool. Yeah. What is interesting, though, is blocks weren't tracked until like the early 70s. So it's this weird thing where like Wilt Chamberlain probably had 75 of these, and we'll just never know.
Well, so that's the thing, right? So, first of all, let's finish the quadruple double category. There have been a number of quadruple doubles in both men's and women's basketball of various levels. There has never been a quadruple double in WNBA history, but there have been in women's D1. And actually, there's a player named I don't know if it's Shaquilla or Shakila, but I'm going to say Shaquilla Hill, who played at Grambling State, who not only had a quadruple double, but recorded multiple quadruple doubles in college, which is really, really impressive. Like that's a strong school. This is not some like rinky dink organization. So pretty impressive stuff. But the Wilt Chamberlain thing is that it is believed that Wilt actually once had a quintuple double, which would be getting double digits in 5 different stat categories. And the alleged claim is that on March 18th, 1968, Wilt had 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 24 blocks, and 11 steals. But to your point, before Chamberlain's retirement and before 1974, steals and blocks were not officially recorded. So, there's speculation that he might have done that like multiple times. It's unclear. There are records of people who for sure got quintuple doubles in women's basketball, all of which happened at the high school level, but the most notable one being Tamika Catchings, who many of you have probably heard of from her WNBA days, who when she was in high school in Duncanville, Texas, had a game where she scored 25 points, 18 rebounds, 11 assists, 10 steals, and 10 blocks in 1997. So the very long version of a short answer is yes. And that's how it all went down. And let's put a bow on it with this. Who do you think in the current NBA and or WNBA would be the most likely to record a quadruple double?
I think Wemby, because Wemby this season,
I was going to say,
Wembanyama this season got a 5x5, which is very rare. That's when you have 5 in 5 different categories. When you have usually, I think the only way to do it would be blocks, points, steals, assists, and rebounds. And he did that. And he was the first person to do it in a long time. I think it was like Andre Kirilenko used to do it a bunch. And then like, I think weirdly, the last one was like Carlos Boozer or something, like someone more surprising. But he had that this season. So I feel like if he has one game where he just goes wild, he could totally make it happen. There's all these like funky defensive stats coming out about him. Like he's always been good this season with his defensive stats. His offense is coming along. But I saw a stat that like in the month of February, he had more blocks than like 7 teams. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So I think he could get a quad dub.
Yeah, it's actually saying here that Wemby became the youngest player to ever record a 5x5 at the age of 20 years old and 50 days.
Oh my God.
And the amazing thing is he also became the fastest person to do it in the sense of like time that he played in a game before accomplishing that feat, because he got the 5x5 at the 30-minute, 55-second mark.
Absurd. That guy, he's ridiculous. And he seems like such a nice person that I don't care that his body feels like it's a cheat code. Like he seems so nice that I'm okay with him being an unfair person. I'm so happy for him.
Now, and we won't get too in the weeds here because we're literally talking about the stats on a podcast where we promise we don't do that too much, but it is interesting. So Hakeem Olajuwon in 1987, great year, by the way, year I was born, became the first person to ever record a 6x5. So that's at least 6 of points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. And then Andre Kirilenko, who you just mentioned recently, did that again in 2006. But there you go. There you have it. Final question. Who in the WNBA would be most realistic to accomplish such a thing?
Man, it's tough. You would need someone that kind of can do like a jack of all trades. I could see it being Asia Wilson, honestly. I would believe that she has the ability to make that happen just because the points and the rebounds are going to be there for sure. The assists, especially if she was getting like double teamed a lot, and then she's a solid enough defensive player, like she's won defensive player of the year, where like the steals and blocks could happen. I just think it's so much harder in the WNBA because they have shorter quarters. So it would just like, you would just have to have a really, really, really solid game, or maybe something that went to overtime purely just because they I think only play 10-minute quarters instead of 12-minute quarters. So it's just like
it would probably have to be like a 10-10-10-10.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I would say that Asia is very likely just because she kind of is like the defensive anchor of the Aces while also being one of the primary scorers. So she does it all. She's very good at basketball.
But thank you very much for the question, Sierra. And I believe now we can head into Caitlin Clark land, full court press.
Yeah, get it like the news. You know, she did announce that she is coming into the WNBA this season, which I think makes sense, especially that she has given both the women's and men's Division I NCAA scoring record, which is pretty cool for all-time career. So she will be going to the Indiana Fever unless the catastrophe strikes. And I am sad as someone who is a fan of the Seattle Storm who had the number 4 pick, but very happy because the Seattle Storm utilized that pick to bring in Skylar Diggins-Smith and her ripped arms and Nneka Ogwumike and her incredible basketball talent. We got a big 3 with the 2 of them and Jewel Lloyd. So I can't be too upset. Storm are looking pretty solid, but yeah, Caitlin Clark has been lighting the world on fire, and I think it will help the WNBA continue to grow just like Sabrina Ionescu has done. So more eyes on the W is good, and it allows for cool things, such as the new Toronto potential expansion.
Yes. Yeah, and before we get to that, I just have to say, I don't think that there has ever been a player with this much hype around them coming into the league, like kind of also in the NBA. Like obviously when LeBron first came into the league, everybody wanted to see him, but like a perfect reference point, if you look online at ticketing websites of any games where the Fever are playing, it is the Caitlin Clark effect is like astronomical.
Oh yeah, because
like you look
tickets
at
are
ticket
already
prices
live. Yeah.
Exactly. So tickets are live. I was the Liberty actually opened the season, or their home opener, I should say, is against the Fever. I don't think you can even get in the building for less than $200.
Dang.
And Caitlin Clark's home opener in Indiana, I think the lowest ticket prices were close to $400.
That's wild.
And this is just not something you see. And that's not to say that WNBA tickets are cheap by any means, but usually if you're looking to go to like a random Liberty game, $40-$50 to get into the
For
stadium.
context, I sat courtside at an Indiana Fever game one season ago.
Yeah.
It's always hard.
Not going to be doing that with Caitlin Clark.
It was literally $80 for courtside seats. Yeah. I think the Fever are going to have to start playing where the Pacers play, because they currently play in a smaller place, like where they do the rodeo, and it's just a smaller arena. I would not be surprised if the Fever announced we're playing in or at least some of their games are going to be in like the bigger field house, because like you're just going to sell out of tickets. That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. And I just can't, I mean, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of any other player coming into the league, NBA or WNBA, who had that much of an outsized impact on ticket prices. Like, I'm sure when Wemby's in town, people are excited to see him, but like, it's not to that degree.
No, it's definitely not to that degree. I also think what's going to be part of the factor there with Caitlin Clark is just the nature of a lot of the WNBA teams play in smaller arenas. You've got some like the Mercury who play where the Suns play, but you know, not every team is playing in a huge NBA sized arena. So just supply and demand kind of stuff there. But yeah, I think it's just like the perfect storm of, I think ever since COVID, women's sports have really done well just because people started watching the WNBA and realized they liked it. And that women's NCAA tournament was really well watched. And I think you also have people who did really well in college becoming more of stars now, like Kelsey Plum, who previously had the scoring record, and Sabrina Ionescu. Like, they're both like such big stars now that I think when Caitlin Clark was coming along, people wanted to be like, I want to see her before. And I think it's just like the perfect momentum storm for that. So yeah, I think it's definitely one of the biggest ones. Cause yeah, like Wemby certainly was a draw in like the major markets and stuff, but not super huge. It's also the WNBA only has what, like 30 something games, like 34 games. It's different. There's like less urgency when it's the NBA and you've got 82, you know, it's not like, oh my God, I got to see it, you know? So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm excited to see what she does for the league, even if she's not going to be on my favorite team. The Fever are going to be scary. They have the reigning rookie of the year and now Caitlin Clark on the team. Like, they're going to jump quite high from one of the worst teams to potentially in like contender, at least like in the playoff conversation, like in the hunt. I still think that the Aces and the Liberty and now the Storm are going to be scary, but Fever are going to be scary too. So yeah, I think it will make for some very fun basketball. So let's move over to the NBA to close out Full Court Press. Two major things to discuss here. First, LeBron hit 40,000 points. He is the only person to ever do that, potentially the only person who will ever do that. So that's cool. Like, that's wild.
Is there an outside shot that he gets to 50,000 points?
I think it would be very hard because it would take a lot of time. They had a stat where it was like, he's so consistent where like the number of games it took him to go from like 10,000 to 20,000, 20 to 30, and 30 to 40 was like all in the same. I want to say it was like in the 380s or something. Because he scores like, say, 30 points a game, right? So if you've got 10,000 points divided by 30, like that's going to take 350 games probably if you're...
Which is another like, 5 seasons-ish.
Right. And like you look at his past couple of years, like because of injuries now, his past couple of years, he's only playing between like 50 and 60 games. So I think it would have to be a lot for him to get to 50,000.
But you know what? If he gets high enough and he's close enough, wouldn't you keep going?
Maybe. At the very least, I think 45K is like a more achievable milestone where like he might stick around to hit it and that'd be cool as heck. But 40,000, that's awesome. No one's ever done it. Ridiculous.
Incredible.
So, super cool. I did recently purchase, I purchased tickets to see LeBron when the Lakers played the Nets.
Nice.
I did it because this is not a paid promotion, but SeatGeek has a thing where like once per your account, you can buy a ticket to something, and then 72 hours before the event starts, you can use a one-time use promo code, and then they'll just like buy it back from you. So I figured I'll just buy a ticket.
What do you mean if you don't want it?
Yeah. So basically, it's not like you can do it with every ticket. I think it's like a one-time use per account, but you can buy something. And then as long as, you know, by March 28th at 6 p.m., I can say, oh, actually, no, and then just get my money back. So cool. I figured that would be when I would pull the trigger on buying a LeBron ticket anyway, since I saw what happened with the Knicks. So if he's not hurt by that date, I'll just keep it. And, you know, I got like the lowest seat in the second deck, and it wasn't like atrociously bad. So Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess it was $232.
It's like almost exactly that. I think it was like 240 after fees and all that stuff. Yeah, I was deciding between the first row of the second deck and the last row of the first deck, and it was like $100 jump between the two, and I was like, it's not that, like, it's that, I don't know if it's that
the only
much.
benefit to doing the lower deck would have been then you get access to that section you can like walk down super close.
Yeah, but
before the game starts.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to happen. Like, and usually with those, like, I feel like you can just like, if you get there early enough, they don't really like check your ticket to walk down. So like, I think I might.
Oh, they sure did for Steph.
Oh yeah, they did.
I feel like they might for LeBron.
Interesting,
so,
interesting.
But I'm happy you're going.
That'll be fun.
Awesome.
So yeah, shout out to LeBron. Other thing that happened, the Clippers rebranded. The Clippers have rebranded, and
love the jerseys, hate the logo.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. So the thing that's hard is like the Clippers old logo sucked. Like it was really bad. Like the LAC rectangle inside of a basketball was horrible. Like it reeked of Microsoft Word clip art, which is funny given that Steve Ballmer.
Graphic design is my passion.
Yeah. Like given that Ballmer owns the team, the Microsoft guy, it was very funny. But yeah, they have a new arena. So they have a new rebrand coming. And I don't know, there's like I feel like the whole rebrand to me is pros and cons. Like pro, they're embracing the boat theme, which makes sense. They are the Clippers. A Clipper is a boat. Con, it's a cruise ship in the logo, not a Clipper, which is like a small, swift boat. Right. And cruise ships are boring. Then like they have this logo where it's like but then the compass doesn't go all the way, so it makes a C. I think that's cool in theory, but like you have to like really look to notice it. And then also, it doesn't necessarily look like a compass at first. It looks like the boat is like targeted by like a missile launcher. Like it looks like a target lock. Like because it's like a circle with like the 4 lines. Like it looks like that boat is about to get blown to smithereens. And then like in the base of the boat is like a basketball shape, which like fine. I just love that NBA Paint, which is a really fun Twitter follow, always makes fun of, like they did a whole thing in the offseason where they were redoing all the logos. And one joke that they always kept was like, if any logo didn't have a basketball, because so many NBA logos have basketballs in them, they would always make the joke of like, how do you know what sport it is? So they would always like add a basketball to any logo that didn't have one. And then they have this other logo where they've got like Los Angeles Clippers around it. Cool thing. The N in Angeles is at the like north point on the compass. Like that's kind of cool, where they've made that perfectly line up. The color scheme is fine. Like they've kept the red, white, and blue, but they've changed the royal blue to the navy, which is good in that there are like fewer teams in the NBA with navy, red, and white. It is like a boring choice across like all of sports, but I looked at like the NBA teams with it, and there's actually not that many, and there's more with like plain red, white, blue. So at least it's like slightly different. They still kept their light blue as like an accent color, but I wish they would have embraced the light blue as like the main color. I think this all, especially because they're going aquatic boat themed, like if they fully embrace like our primary color is light blue, I think it would have been way better. I feel like I would love everything much more about this redesign if they did that.
Yeah. But hey, they got a new arena. They don't have to be there, with their little brother syndrome covering up the Lakers banners and feeling out of place in crypto.com arena.
And the jerseys are pretty cool. Like the new Clippers script, I think is really nice. Like it looks like a modernized version of their classic sort of script, which is cool. And I feel like the Los Angeles looks cool too. They have a new like LA, which like looks good in terms of like a 2-letter insignia thing. Like I could see it catching on, kind of like the Dodgers hat LA has caught on, where like people wear it just to support the city of Los Angeles as opposed to specifically the team. I'll be interested to see when they start doing like funky jerseys. I think because these 3 jerseys are like pretty safe but classic looking, I think they have the opportunity to do some funky stuff. So I think it's fine. I think it could be better, but it's not bad by any means. So that's overall rebrand thoughts. And then they've got their new arena to go with it, the Intuit Dome, which has a bunch of funky features where they're doing a bunch of tech stuff. And then there is some cool things, like apparently there are, I think, 1,300 toilets in it. Like everything is designed around where basically you should be able to leave, get stuff, and come back from halftime within 12 minutes, which is like as long as halftime is takes on average. So I like that Ballmer is at least like trying to implement these sorts of things. Like he's caring, it's one of those things where it's like design a basketball stadium around a basketball team and make intentional choices. That's cool. But then some of the things are weird where it's like, oh, you don't have to, they have things in the concession stands where they like scan your palm or scan your face and you don't have to pay. And I'm like, like, I don't trust that. Like speed is cool, but you know what I can do? Tap to pay. And like, I am fine. I will gladly miss 2 minutes
it's weird.
of basketball.
You like tap your card to go into an area, and then as you walk out, it's almost like those Amazon brick and mortar stores. It's odd.
I don't like that. I don't know. I don't love it. And there's the thing. Have you seen some of the Whole Foods in New York? They say like you can like scan your palm to pay instead of like tapping your card or whatever at checkout. It's like, dude, Jeff Bezos doesn't need my fingerprints. Like, I'm fine. I'm going to pass. Tap to pay does not take that long. Like, are we really in a world?
Just because his head looks like a finger doesn't mean he needs to see mine.
So yeah, I don't need the face scanning. I will gladly, proudly continue to wear masks at basketball games for an extra reason now. But cool stuff going on with the Clippers, even though, did you see the TikTok of 2 teenagers that broke into the Intuit Dome and filmed themselves doing stuff?
No, that's
like,
wild.
These teenagers, like...
Is it done?
It's like still kind of under construction, but they had like an opening ceremony and stuff. So like the main structure is now they're just like doing interior work. But these 2 kids just like broke in. One was wearing Lakers pajama pants, which is hilarious. And they just had videos of them like finding basketballs and like extra hoops and just like shooting. And like they made it.
I guess they kind of outed themselves for breaking and entering by
that's
posting
the
on
thing
TikTok.
that's wild is they didn't wear masks or sunglasses or anything. Like they just showed their faces. I will say, like, they did make a bunch of shots. Like they had good form. You got to give credit where credit's due, but you also have to give uncredit where like, why are you putting a crime on the internet?
Yeah. Nevertheless, please share the link.
But we'll put that on the episode page at HorsesHoops.com. Okay, let's get into your That Actually Happened.
Well, Mike, sometimes you just got to give the people what they want. And so for today's That Actually Happened, I am going to be discussing how it came to be that Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler ended up in a Fall Out Boy music video. Thank
goodness. Oh, good. Because I was like, man, if there's one thing in Full Court Press we didn't talk about, it's this. Perfect.
There you go. So for the past few years, as Jimmy Butler's NBA stardom has continued to rise, so too have his off-the-court pursuits. This started with Jimmy's coffee company, Big Face Coffee, which rose to fame during the NBA bubble in 2020, when Jimmy used a little something called supply and demand to charge $20 a cup for his specialty coffee. Now, I'll share a link to the article because the visual is better than anything I could possibly describe here, but Jimmy essentially ran a lemonade stand for adults out of his hotel room. His super high-tech dry erase board sign offered many options such as latte, pour over, cappuccino, Americano, espresso, red eye, mocha, macchiato, and cafe au lait. And the price was a flat rate, cash only, no IOUs, $20 for any size, small, medium, or large. My only note there is that I would have loved for Jimmy to have gotten a little more creative with the sizes, like how Starbucks does tall, grande, and venti. Like I feel like a basketball theme. I would have gone
Mutombo.
with Muggsy Michael. I would have gone with Muggsy Michael and Manute.
Yeah, it's good. That's very good.
5'3" Muggsy Bogues being the small, 6'6" Michael Jordan being the medium, and 7'7" Manute Bull being the large. But I mean, just calling Michael Jordan medium, he's going to take that personally.
Yeah, he is technically below average. I think average height of the NBA player is like 6'7" or 6'8". So
it's true.
He's certainly a medium.
All he heard right there was below average, so you better watch out.
I gotta say, him charging all of the multimillionaires $20 a cup, genius.
Good.
And also, a whiteboard in a food establishment is such a green flag. There's a Korean fried chicken place in Brooklyn that my buddy Joseph lives near, and we went to. And when we walked in, you could only get food to go, and the menu was on Expo marker whiteboard. I was like, this place is going to be fucking incredible. And it was so good. Oh, it was so good.
Why is it that you feel the dry erase board is such a positive sign in a restaurant?
Just because like no focus is on anything else except for the food. Like it's just, we're not spending money on other stuff. It's a similar thing of like,
it's the definition of no frills.
It's kind of like how my policy for Asian food restaurants and bagel places is the more boring the name, the better. Like there's a place in Houston called Thai Spice, fantastic. There's a place called Noodle House, incredible. There's a place called Katana Sushi, awful. The name is too cool. Same thing with bagel places. Like they got to just be named after like the owner or the street that they're on. Like if there's some place called like Empire State Bagels, Absolutely not. If there's a place called, you know, like even chains like Towels and Zuckers, like, yeah, it's just named after the dude. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go anywhere in the country or the world, and everywhere you see is like New York pizza.
Yeah.
You're like,
no,
the fuck it isn't.
An Italian restaurant's got to be named after someone's grandma, or just called nonnas, like the Italian word for grandma.
Yeah, or just an ever-increasing number of brothers to the point where you're like, 12
There's
brothers?
There's a great Twitter thread
family?
of like, how many brothers can we find? And it just keeps going.
That's
I think they get up to 14.
Oh my God. Well, you know, those Catholics love their large families, so that's how it goes. But in any case, the Big Face Coffee thing was really just the beginning of Jimmy's off-the-court interest, because the primary non-coffee highlights from Jimmy in recent years have been his blatant trolling of NBA Media Day, the day on which players take their official team photographs for the season. It's basically school picture day for professional basketball players, but as we all know, there was always that one kid at school who had to make a silly face or wear something absurd on picture day, and the NBA's version of that is Jimmy Butler. In 2021, Jimmy's Media Day hair was normal, but you can tell from some of the poses that he is not taking it very seriously, and this feels like the kernel of what was to come in the following years. Now, it's unclear if this particular pose was Jimmy's idea or if the photographer was trying to go for something that didn't really translate very well.
Let's do a silly one.
My favorite... Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Speaking of Mac Weldon, and they did not use it, but like there was one thing that they wanted me to do when we did the shoot that was like very broad, and I was like, I will do this, but I really would appreciate if you like get my approval before you put anything out there, because I really don't want to do this. Like, it's the equivalent of every like shitty comedy album that you see with a guy like pretending he's eating the microphone or something, like, you know, like, oh, I'm so edgy, you know?
Yeah, with some title called like, you know, uncancelable or, you know,
yeah, exactly. Cancel this.
You're right, God. Literally, Jeff Dunham's new special is called Not Canceled Yet. Like, I think we might have, my guy.
I mean, yeah, man, I don't know. It's a white guy who has a puppet called Ahmed the Dead Terrorist. So as far as I'm concerned, he done been canceled.
Goodbye, Jeff.
But my favorite 2021 Media Day image, it's Jimmy with his back turned. He's like holding the ball. He's looking over his shoulder with this like silly shit-eating grin and a shrug. It has big like stand-up comedian from the 90s album cover vibes. The sort of like, me? Funny? Nah.
I'm excited to see these photos.
Yeah, it's great. But in 2022, things really took a leap when Jimmy showed up to Media Day with aggressive dreadlocks. And my favorite part, acted like it was completely normal. When asked about it during an interview with NBA TV's Taylor Rooks, he insists that they are not extensions. He does, however, admit to her, quote, I just wanted to see how many people on the internet would love my hair, end quote, and it worked. People really did. The funniest part about doing this on Media Day is that these images are used for a huge amount of promotional materials, from advertisements for the team to the little thumbnails they use during games to basketball reference pages, immaculate grid, all that stuff.
NBA 2K, like everything. Yes. Fantasy sports, it's everything.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It becomes this running joke, and it's never not funny. It's like one of my favorite things. But he really outdid himself this year. So for this current season's Media Day, Jimmy showed up with an emo haircut that had the internet ablaze last November. I'm sure most of you listening to this podcast know what we're referring to, but if not, and as long as you're not driving right now, take a couple seconds and just Google Jimmy Butler emo hair so that you have a frame of reference as I'm talking about this. The internet did not disappoint, with everyone competing to come up with the best emo-related pun. Some of my favorites included Heat Wentz, Jimmy Heat World, Ball Out Boy, Panic at the Free Throw, and then people repeatedly singing, because tonight will be the night that I will ball for you.
That was really good.
Over again.
That was
well
I
mean,
done.
It's all the same. It's all the same voice. But thank you. Prior to Media Day, Jimmy had uploaded a bunch of photos to his Instagram story showing him getting his nails painted black, and then also eyebrow, lip, and nose piercings. There was even a clip of him getting his hair straightened as Fall Out Boy's "Thanks for the Memories," spelled "Thanks for the Memories," played in the background. It's like spelled like a startup. Like, you know how every startup like just removes vowels and they're like, this is cool.
Gosh, I'm so glad that era in startups has gone away. And I feel like the new thing was just like a normal word that people use. And I'm intrigued to see what the next one is, where it's just like everything is just like, you know, yearn or inspire or whatever.
Well, there's that, or it's like taking a normal word and making it an adverb for no reason. So like if you sell microphones, it's like Mike Lee. And you're like, what is
shout
Mike
out to Drizzly, who is sent me an email that they are dying because Uber Eats, who bought them a couple years ago, is like scooping them up.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
But yeah, the no vowels thing bothers me, especially when it's for things that like don't need to be cool. Like, why is there a company that's like GRVL? It's like you sell gravel. Just be a gravel company. That's not real, but it's a good example of something that would be that.
Look, let me just Google GRVL because you never know. It's a cycling
Please
company. Damn it.
But still, they're trying to be cool.
Mm-hmm. But you know, like that's probably that must be like that's got to be the inspiration for the name, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's mountain bikes for all your favorite gravel trails. Now, when it was finally time for the press conference, Jimmy starts by walking into the room, and before anyone even says anything, he says, "Don't make me break character right now." Before he sits down, he says, yeah, laugh it up. And then the questions begin. Jimmy starts by getting annoyed when a reporter mistakenly refers to last year's dreads as braids, and then addresses his current look by saying, "This is my emotional state. I'm one with my emotions, so this is what you get."
So good.
But the funniest part of the whole thing is that it's like a 7-minute press conference, and there was a couple joke questions about his hair to start the press conference. But ultimately, everyone is still there to do their actual job. So then they're just asking him basketball-related questions about like, well, how do you come off of getting the NBA Finals and improve on that? And he's just like sitting there earnestly answering all these questions with an absurd hairdo and a bunch of piercings. It's a very funny juxtaposition.
So good.
Now, when the season began, Jimmy was back to his normal look, and most of us assumed that the emo character had been retired, other than seeing it in photos all over the place. But then, like a phoenix rising, 1 week ago, we all learned that we could not have been more wrong. Emo Jimmy was back in a big way, starring prominently in the music video for the title track of Fall Out Boy's new album, So Much for Stardust. This came on the heels of Jimmy announcing in an interview with Rolling Stone that he was planning to release a country music album and had crafted around 60 tracks thus far, but was hoping to get to 200. And just to be clear, that part was not a joke. Like, unless it's all a big ruse and like a bit for something larger, Jimmy seems serious about his musical pursuits. And I say, why not? This ain't Texas, ain't no hold'em. So Jimmy, as far as I'm concerned, lay your cards down, 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 down. Anyway, Jimmy is from Texas.
Oh, yes, he is. He's from Tomball, which is not too far from where my parents live and where I spent a decade of my life.
Tomball sounds like a game that like someone named Tom invents.
Yes. I believe it was the competitor to basketball by Mr. Naismith, but I think Dr. Naismith murdered Tom. Yes, there can only be one Highlander.
Exactly. But back to the Fall Out Boy music video. It's unclear if Jimmy's emo character was all part of the plan and this release was coordinated in advance with the Media Day shenanigans, but it seems more likely that Pete Wentz and the rest of Fall Out Boy heard about the emo Jimmy thing last year and just thought it would be funny to have him in the video. However it came to be, it's perfect. The music video starts with dramatic strings and says Fall Out Boy, then it says featuring Jimmy Butler. And then Jimmy is revealed as an emo cowboy, complete with his emo hair, a cowboy hat, a gigantic belt buckle, a tight Elvis-esque rhinestone outfit, and a decorative bolo tie and snakeskin boots. Just incredible stuff all the way around. Jimmy is swiveling his hips to the music and lip-syncing, 100 out of 10, absolutely 0 notes. At about 1 minute and 5 seconds in the video, Jimmy unexpectedly breaks into a bit of like a Harlem Shake shoulder shimmy situation, and then immediately resumes his regular dance moves in front of a wall of taxidermied animals, as one does. Just a day in the life of cowboy emo Jimmy. But then, at 2 minutes and 8 seconds, Jimmy approaches a Bejeweled disco ball themed Magic 8 ball and shakes it, revealing Pete Wentz wearing a similarly absurd looking outfit. They start by holding hands and then break into a synchronized square dance. And again, no notes whatsoever. The video ends with Pete Wentz back to back with himself, staring into a mirror, making you wonder if Jimmy was there or just a figment of Pete's imagination the whole time. But the response to the video has been incredibly positive. It has racked up about 500,000 views thus far in less than a week since its release. We will obviously share a link to the video on the episode page at horsehoops.com, and I believe we've already retweeted it and that sort of thing. But here are some of my favorite YouTube comments. Quote, "Life is simple. I see Jimmy Butler. I press like. Agreed.
Correct.
Came for Jimmy Butler, stayed for the music. Yep. Jimmy Butler just completing side quests now. He really is. This is a good one. I feel trolled, but satisfied and happy all at once. Perfect description." Mm-hmm. Quote, "This was interesting. Never thought I'd see Jimmy Butler and Pete Wentz square dance in my lifetime. Me neither, but I'm not mad about it. This one was fun. With this video, Jimmy Butler is officially living my 7th grade dream of professional basketball player and being friends with Pete." I feel that.
Gosh.
But this one is the final one I'll share because we talk a lot on this basketball podcast that's only kind of about basketball, about the fact that people always want to put athletes in a box where they exist as an athlete and only as an athlete. But whether it's Mike Trout being really into meteorology, baseball reference, or Miles Turner's Lego obsession, or Jimmy Butler starring in a music video with Pete Wentz, you do you. And I say that because my favorite YouTube comment was, quote, "This video is every black emo kid's dream come true. Many of us were teased for liking Fall Out Boy and other bands growing up, so to see Jimmy in this video very much being himself and being celebrated for it feels like a win for us all." End quote. And that actually happened.
That's awesome. What a fun, sweet note to end on. Incredible, fantastic.
Absolutely. I also noticed as I was reading it, and it made me laugh, that in the sentence, "but whether it's Mike Trout," I spelled weather like the weather.
Whoa,
because my brain was thinking of meteorology. Very interesting.
Very cool.
But that actually happened. It's a great time. And let's turn it over to you for your 3-on-3.
1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. 3-on-3.
All righty. Well, I am very excited to do this 3-on-3. It's something that similarly was sweeping basketball YouTube by storm. And that has been the recent compilation that came out. There's this one YouTube channel that does a bunch of these, and it's a really great watch. Have you seen the ones where it's like some sort of situation, but it gets increasingly more whatever?
Yes. It's like, buzzer beaters, but they get increasingly more dramatic. The stakes are higher.
Plays,
or there's less time on the clock.
Right, yeah. Fakes, but they get more tricky, whatever. It's by a YouTube user, Kosh Report. There's a bunch of these. They're all like 10 minutes or so each, and they're just great. I would highly recommend them if you have a lot of free time. I would not recommend them if you have stuff to do, because once you watch one, you want to watch all of them, and they're all 10 minutes long, and then you're after.
And the algorithm knows me so well at this point that it just feeds me that stuff, and I eat it up.
Yes. So,
like the pig that I.
The recent one that came out, which I'm glad they did because this guy is wild, is the Hornets announcer, but he gets increasingly more unhinged.
Oh, yes, I've seen it.
Okay. So this documents Eric Collins, who I became familiar with a couple of years ago just because I randomly was watching a Hornets Warriors game. I think it was a bubble or post bubble, one of the ones where there weren't as many people in the crowd. And he just, I think Terry Rozier hit a buzzer beater to end the third quarter and he lost his mind. And I was like, who is this guy? And he's just become more and more of like a known thing. And this compilation video is 8 minutes long. So I've actually put together a 3-on-3 because there's 3 distinct categories that I found that are really good. And I feel like we can get through these pretty quickly, where 3 of them are him being happy about things that Hornets players have done. 3 are things that he's upset that opponents have done. And then 3 of them are just buzzer beaters by the Hornets. And it's basically like all of these are within the same video. So if you just watch the whole video, which we'll link to, you can consume all of them. But I wanted to rank individual selections from this compilation. Let's begin with the positive Hornets things, because we're going to get some of Eric Collins's classic sort of catchphrases that he has. So here is this first one.
Rozier gonna have to put something up. Yes! Terry Rozier! How do you do?
So that was Terry Rozier. These are actually the game winners. I'm sorry, but this one is good because his catchphrases do come through in the game winners. So that was the one that I saw. That was the game that I was watching. So it's a 100-100 game between the Hornets and the Warriors. Terry Rozier makes a game-winning jump shot, and he just screams and then says,
"But that's not." I
do?"
thought you were saying it was the end of the third quarter. So like this is more legit.
This is way more legit. I don't know if it was this game or there is another one. I think even in this compilation where he makes one to end the third quarter, one of these. But I just remember someone screaming their head off at some sort of a buzzer beater, and that was my introduction. So it's just a classic.
And can I also say, and you pointed this out before, this is definitely it was like that first season after the bubble where they were playing in either empty arenas or mostly empty arenas. And that made such a huge difference because like not having the crowds there, it was just not the same viewing experience. So if you have someone like this or like a Stacey King who gets super hyped, it really at this time like made all the difference. So credit to him.
And I think that might have been what started his sort of notoriety, was that it was needed and he brought it, but then he just kept it.
The thing that's funny to think about is like there were so few people there. The players probably heard him yelling.
Oh yeah.
from where he was sitting, courtside, I assume, unless it was like a remote broadcast.
No, I think they definitely heard him. I think he was there because it was a home game.
I love it.
So it's great. So that's just a classic. The how do you do with the pauses? Really good. The how do you do? So here's the next game winner.
Do you think that's how he introduces himself when he meets
Probably.
people?
Here's the next game winner.
Lamb's going to have to fire.
I've selected this one for the yee after.
Yeah, the high pitch yee really
just the
does it
jubilation. 106. Jeremy Lamb makes a 3 with 0.3 seconds left to seal the game. Just incredible. The final game winner, it's another one from Jeremy Lamb, and this is potentially the greatest game winner of all time. It is the second farthest game winner, or the third farthest game winner of all time. But it's that absurd Jeremy Lamb game winner. And I guess Jeremy Lamb just had this weird, incredible game-winning career. Having 2 of those in his short tenure on the Hornets, wild.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate, if I had a quarter for every time this happened, I would have 2, but it's still weird that it's happened twice situation.
Right.
Hornets got a pair. Lamb lost it. Has to fire. Oh! What? Jeremy Lamb wins it. Unbelievable. What just happened? Toronto. Good golly, Miss Molly. He did it.
Good golly, Miss Molly, he did it.
I love a good golly, Miss Molly.
So good. I just love that he just freaks out. The other guy freaks out too. The other guy just like, what just happened? Madness in Toronto. Like, it was a wild play, a perfectly fitting exclamation to put on what a ridiculous play that was. And it's just like the players like inbound the ball, it stumbles. Jeremy Lamb has to go backcourt. He flips it up. They were losing by 2 and then he makes the 3. So you go from thinking like, cool, we've won the game to, oh my God, we've lost on the most ridiculous past half court bank shot.
Especially because it's in Toronto. So everyone there is just like completely destroyed by it. Also, we didn't talk about this in Full Court Press. Shout out to Max Strus, who hit a game winner from like 3/4 court in the past week.
So Max Strus now has the second longest game winner. The longest one is the Devontae Graham one, which is absurd. And then there's the Max Strus one, and then now this Jeremy Lamb one, I think, is the third longest game winner of all time. So just a perfect, like, that's why you need an announcer that's this hype, because that's that hype of a moment. And what's funny, you mentioned it being in Toronto. If you watch the video, you can see that rather than the crowd like go very excited and everyone raise their hands, people either sit down in frustration or put their hands on their heads. And you can just see like 10,000 people do it at the same time. And it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the Jokic one from this year.
Yes, yeah. Just like supremely like, oh no. Speaking of oh no, let's get into him being upset at other players. So this first one is Steph Curry. And you have the interesting situation where first LaMelo Ball makes an incredible shot and then Steph Curry follows it up. So you go from the high to the low.
LaMelo's going to take the air out of the ball. Oh, Oubre! Shoot it whenever you want, Kelly. Curry's going to put it up. You know that.
So it was Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre made the shot. I'll pass it to him. But just shoot it whatever you want, Kelly, is great. And then just getting more hype. Like, that's the sign of a good announcer, getting excited at the other team's success, or at least like bringing the correct amount of energy, because nothing is more frustrating than when you have either a neutral or the opposing team's broadcaster and something incredibly iconic happens, like a game-winning home run or whatever. And then they just go like, Aaron Judge with a home run. Like, no, you got to bring it. And that's what I appreciate about Clyde and Breen, even when it's a Knicks broadcast. If something cool happens, like when Giannis Antetokounmpo jumped over Tim Hardaway Jr. and dunked on him, they went wild, as they should. A man jumped over another man.
Yeah. Also, I think you should just clip out that brief moment of him saying, shoot it whenever you want, Kelly, and play it at random times if Kelly, your wife, is like throwing away a tissue or something.
When I was watching this for research purposes, Kelly heard this from across the room and went, Kelly? And then we watched the whole video together. And she was like, what is this? Why is this person doing this? It's great. So here is another one. This one's about Jason Tatum. This one is not necessarily as scream-ish, but I just love what he says about Mr. Tatum.
Did the Zach LaVine one make the cut?
It did not. It might be a 5-on-5.
Yeah, nice.
Hornets need to put all their eggs on Tatum. Oh my God! basketball.
The exasperation, the voice crack on the good golly. What a baller. Oh, it's amazing.
What's funny is that his co-announcer person definitely says a phrase really awkwardly before he says that. I think he says they're going to need to put all of their eggs on Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what he's trying to say is, like, you got to put all your eggs in the basket of guarding Tatum. But it's really weird to say you got to put all your eggs on Tatum.
Look, sometimes you can't make an omelet without Jason Tatum. So
that's totally true.
You gotta put all your eggs on him. But I just love the exasperation. Everyone in the building. Oh, it's just great. And then the number one is from this season. It was from that famous / infamous Karl Anthony Towns game where he went absolutely nuclear in the first half.
Yep.
And this is from the final shot he made in the first half. And then they went on to lose because they were trying to force him to outscore Joel Embiid.
No!
The no is so good because he says that before Towns shoots it. It's before he even releases the ball. It's just when he squares up and there's not a defender close enough to him. Just no! Like, that's what's great is like, that is what every fan is thinking.
He just got shot. Yes. Like, the sound he makes when the ball goes in is incredibly dramatic.
It's like someone either shot him or a loved one. Like, he's just so distraught.
Let me tell you something. The pop filter on this guy's mic is working overtime.
Oh my goodness. I think he never clips out the microphone. So he either has incredible microphone technique where he will pull away the little microphone from him, or whoever is doing his production work behind the scenes, twisting the knobs, is a genius because they know exactly we got to crank the gain down, baby. He's going to blow it. It's well done. Okay. So now we can get into the conclusion, which is just him being super hype at positive things that have happened to his team that he reps, the Charlotte Hornets. So first, this is Terry Rozier making 2 clutch free throws. Granted, this is free throws. These are foul shots.
Yeah, it's hard to get hyped about free throws.
But it was an intense portion of the game. It is actually from that same 100-100 game where he makes the game winner. These free throws tied the game at 100 with 9 seconds left.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah! Terry, 2 beauties!
Oh, yeah, Terry, 2 beauties. Oh, it's just so good. That's another one where if you know a Terry in your life, you got to clip that. If Terry makes you 2 fantastic fried eggs.
If Terry and their spouse have twins.
Oh, yeah. It's just...
You send a card and you get it with one of those things where you open it, it says a thing.
Yeah.
And you somehow get that somebody in there. Oh, Terry, 2 beauties.
And what's funny is if you watch this didn't make my 3-on-3-on-3 cut, but if you watch the compilation, there's another one where he gets really excited about free throws because it's a player's first points. It's his first ever made free throw. So he gets super hype about that too. So now let's get into one of Kai Jones, who is no longer on the Hornets because he just decided that he's the best player on earth and went on Instagram Live under the influence of something. And he's not playing anywhere now, but he had a really cool dunk and we got some cool catchphrases from Eric Collins.
Think shot clock doesn't reset. Look at Kai Jones. What's this going to be? Wow! Are you kidding me? Hum diddly dee! Kai Jones!
This one got selected because hum diddly dee is one of his catchphrases and it's perfect. It's perfect.
Hum diddly dee is outrageous.
It's really good. I feel like didn't the old Clippers announcer have one that was similar to hum diddly dee?
He would say, "Oh me, oh my."
There it is. Yeah. Just I love a very, very old school because this guy Eric Collins is younger. I would guess he's in his 40s. Mm-hmm. So it's funny to have such an old school catchphrase in a more modern situation. I love it. Hum diddly dee is just great. And I just love he really does feel like the fan watching the game, which is what is this going to be? You can tell he's going to do some sort of dunk. And the dunk he does is a reverse 360 windmill kind of it's a 180 reverse windmill. It's absurd, the dunk that he does.
It's really cool because it almost looks like he didn't time his jump properly and he's too far past the basket, and then he kind of weaves it around and does a reverse dunk as he's going.
It's past. A dunk that would have gotten a 50 in the dunk contest. It's a very good dunk and he does it in the middle of a game.
Well, if it were Jaylen Brown, it would have gotten a 70.
Well, yeah, of course, we got to have the agenda. Okay, so here is the number one. This particular clip, when I first watched this video, I rewinded it I would say roughly 56 times. It's so funny, and whoever edited this video, Kosh Report, cuts it right after the end, and it's just absolutely perfect. It's so funny, and I did have to look up what it means, because I don't think you could guess in 100 tries what he's going to say after this alley-oop.
This is some sloppiness. This be pennies from heaven. Oh, my goodness. Chicken salad deluxe.
That's right, chicken salad deluxe.
Is that a reference to something? Is that a nickname of someone?
So I've done some research. I was trying to see if it was a nickname. Unfortunately, this is of a Miles Bridges play. Miles Bridges, terrible person, has a lot of cool dunks. So unfortunately, a lot of these highlights are from Miles Bridges. But what I did gather by watching a bunch of Eric Collins stuff, I believe he refers to chicken salad as when you make something good out of like a broken play. So this one in particular, there was like a bunch of loose balls and like they stole it back, they throw it.
It's the food version of making lemonade out of lemons.
Exactly. I think because chicken salad is kind of like you have chicken that's about to go bad, let's make chicken salad. I think that's the reference, because there's a couple of times where there was one where it was like, they have like a bad thing, but then they have a really good play to end it. He goes, this will be the ultimate chicken salad. And then they score and he goes, that was a chicken salad with apples in it. So I think it is if you make a meal out of a mess kind of thing.
Right.
And this
chicken salad deluxe
is because this was a broken play and it ended in a really cool alley-oop. So thus, chicken salad deluxe. But what's underrated about the chicken salad deluxe call is that he was saying something else. He's talking about how it's a mess of a play. But then once the alley-oop is thrown, he stops exactly at the precise moment, stops what he's saying and says, pennies from heaven, as the ball is in the air, which I guess is a phrase, because he's like coming up in the sky. I don't know, but it's the combo of pennies from heaven, chicken salad deluxe is just unbeatable. It's the top of this 3-on-3-on-3. It's the top of everything. Like, it's the highlight of the whole video for me. Chicken salad deluxe is just so good. And that has been my 3-on-3-on-3 of Eric Collins. Absolutely just losing his mind and somehow not losing his voice.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like when you think about like screamo bands going on tour. It's like, how do you do this every night and still be able to talk and perform?
Hydration, baby. It's hydration.
And apples.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, you got to keep that throat happy.
Man, that was great.
Fun stuff. I feel amped up. I'm ready to go. Kelly and I are about to go to the gym. I'm going to lift 1,000 pounds, and then maybe that guy will respect me.
Well, the thing you want to do is put more weight on.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, when Kelly and I went, when he came up to apologize 2 days later, I was about to turn to Kelly. I didn't see him because he was behind a pillar, and I was about to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use the squat rack. Ooh, but I should probably put on more weight this time. When he came up to me, just as I was about to make that joke, it could have been very bad.
And then when Kelly's going to wipe down the machine and throw away the little paper towel, say, shoot it all day, Kelly.
Shoot it whenever you want, Kelly. Thanks for listening to this episode of Horror Sources, hosted by Adam Almawala and Mike Schubert. Our editor is Kensei Suramaki. The music is by Bettina Campamanes. The art is by Alison Wakeman. The website is by Kelly Schubert. And the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Tessa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Doka Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, How About Them World Champion Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry for 3, losing by 52.
Bang.
Yeah. Hi, Trish, Nicole Shepard, Chase Underulo, Mr. Bubbles Plays Ball, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby is a Vampire, Chelsea's Cousin, Ginger Spurs Boy, and Balls to the Walls. Go to our Instagram and Facebook at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops, because
Horse Hoops was the guy at the NBA that after the dreadlock year, like halfway through, they switched his photo, at least on ESPN, to his previous year's photo. Very upsetting. They found out, got that Twitter account axed.
You can go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to many of the fun things we talked about today, including LeBron's 40,000th point, Caitlin Clark breaking the all-time record for NCAA scoring. We've got the Jimmy Butler Fallout Boy video. We've got Hum Diddly Dee from the Hornets announcer. We've got it all.
And if you want to support the Horse Boys, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops. We've got a whole bunch of content. We've got audio content, text content, video content. I recently posted a little like voice memo note. I don't even remember what it was. Some sort of basketball news thing happened and I recorded a voice memo of my instant thoughts, and it was a while ago. As we record this, I don't remember what it is, but it'll be on the Patreon. So if you want some surprise audio from Mike Schubert,
maybe listen to it first.
It was definitely about basketball. I just don't remember what the thing was. But You can go to patreon.com/horsehoops for that stuff. You can go to horsehoops.com/merch for horse merch, such as old live show replays and Sup Nerds shirts. And then to close out this episode, we're going to do what we always do, put our hands in the middle and say something on the count of 3. Adam, what are you feeling? I wouldn't mind a hum-diddly-dee on hum-diddly-3.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
very nice.
1, 2, hum-diddly-3, hum-diddly-dee.
Yeah, I like it.
1, 2, hum-diddly-3.
Hum-diddly-dee. Hum-diddly-dee!
How do you do?
Doing quite well. Thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks, Eric. Good to see you.